If you're eliminating that delay, that means people can get to their jobs like at the time they're supposed to. They're not rushed. They can continue doing their job safely, do all their workplace inspections. The other part of that is allowing engineers or getting that access to the data for engineers to do their job in a timely manner.
Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jerrod Downey, and today on the show we have Orica Digital Solutions, and featured today is Sophie Clayton, Product Manager for Underground Solutions. And I hear the Orica Digital Solutions team, it's your responsibility to get max. Orica's done a lot of episodes.
Yep.
Different parts of the company.
Yep, there's massive weights on these shoulders to get views.
Well,
you got to help me out.
We're gonna sabotage the other episodes. We're gonna promote yours. We're gonna get you across that line.
Wonderful, thank you, Jerrod.
At our own demise, but you know what? It's all the win, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump in. Orica brand is so well known. Orica Digital Solutions, obviously a major player in the space. Can we just jump back though, sort of the history of it and getting to what Orica Digital Solutions is today?
Sure. So Orica's been around for a really long time. So the company was founded in 1874 as an explosives company, and we celebrated our 150-year anniversary last year. So over the last 150 years, we've grown into a world leader in explosives and mining technology. The digital solution story, I think, is really fascinating from my own perspective, because we have built tools to support how people use Orica's explosive products.
Mm-hmm.
So with the innovation that we've had in our electronic blasting systems, for example, our software products have underpinned the uptake of that technology in providing awesome tools for people to use to learn how to use that new tech and use it to deliver value to their operations. So digital solutions is now moving into this phase where we are not just focusing on mining, we're also looking up and downstream of traditional Orica business. So we're extending from like exploration. So we have technology that we can use during exploration drilling, and then moving through all the way to the processing end of the stream as well. So it's becoming a really holistic way to approach mining. And our vision here is really to help our customers to mobilize resources sustainably.
I want to clarify something. Is Orica Digital Solutions, is it brand agnostic, or is it integrated into Orica products only?
Both. So there are some aspects of the portfolio that directly support Orica business, but each of our offerings can be used independently, or it can be used as part of a more like holistic, full process mining value chain package. So it's really up to what our customers need. We're not here to force everything on our customers. If there's one part of our offering that solves a particular problem, they can use that independently. And then, things change. Maybe you bring on some other bits and pieces in the future, but it's we're agnostic.
Is that fairly common that people sort of have parts and pieces at different stages, and then it sort of transforms over time?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think one of the interesting things about mining is there's always problems to solve. So you've got to start with one problem. You'll get a handle on that, and then that gives you an opportunity to start working on solving the next problem. So in that continuous improvement pipeline. So I think our suite of solutions really lends itself to approaching continuous improvement in mining, in that sense that you can start in one piece, get that under control, understand it, pull all of the levers that you can, and then start broadening your scope to other aspects of the mining value chain.
Well, that's important for change management too, right? Because
Absolutely.
That's such a big topic of it can be overwhelming. Even if something's incredible, it can just be overwhelming when it all turns digital on you.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think in terms of actually maintaining or keeping that technology or getting that technology embedded, it is really important to just focus on one part first. I've found in my time as being a mining engineer in the industry, if you try to do everything all at once, it's just going to fall over because it's really difficult to figure out where the benefit has come from if you are seeing changes. Yeah. So changing one thing at a time just makes it easier to, monitor and measure like the effect that is having on your processes. So
Right.
yeah, I think we sometimes get a bit carried away or get a bit too ambitious,
Yeah.
try to do everything all at once. And then, 6 months down the track, it's like, oh, that
Yeah.
project has
Well,
just gone and died in the corner.
And when you're the one who understands it, it's like it's almost all in your head. I sometimes even do it with the interviews. You just get used to like, oh, there's cameras, there's lights. And then all of a sudden I'm like a few minutes in and I realize, oh, you've never been on camera before. And now I'm sticking this in and I'm just throwing questions at you. So apologies if I've already done that.
Let's talk about our heavy industry world tour brought to you by Savinaw Equipment. Find, market, and sell surplus and used equipment. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. As heavy machinery specialists for mining, SMS Equipment knows performance, like the performance they achieve together in a partnership dedicated to the success of their mining customers. At SMS Equipment, they're more than machines from trusted brands. They're the people beside you today and every day, bringing industry-leading technology and expertise to your mining operation. Because the right partnership makes everything possible. SMS Equipment, partners in your possibilities. Discover what's possible at smsequipment.com. CIM is Canada's leading technical institute dedicated to the sustainability of our industry. Members enjoy professional growth opportunities through CIM libraries, publications, webinars, societies, and the job board. Experience the CIM community firsthand at the Conference of Metallurgists, August 19th to 22nd, ICARD, September 16th to 20th, and the CIM Health and Safety Conference, October 6th to 8th. Visit CIM.org for more information and join CIM today.
How did you get into mining?
So bit of a funny story, or not really a funny story, a classic mining story, I think. So my dad's a geologist. So I grew up moving around all over Australia and internationally with his work. And I'd always, I guess, like had an example of the exciting opportunities that working in mining has. But when I got to the point of going to university, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I got into an engineering degree and did the general, first year subjects and everything. And I did a geology subject in my first semester and really enjoyed it. And honestly, like nearly failed my chemistry subject. I wanted to be a chemical materials engineer. And I was like, oh no, this is too hard. I cannot keep up. So yeah, ended up specializing in mining. And my dad actually sat me down when I told him like, I want to be a mining engineer. And he had to have a bit of a dig because he's a geologist and there's contention there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, yes, I am. So yeah, I'm really glad I made that choice. And I think it's like a good career to choose if you want to do a variety of things. Like I don't do traditional mining engineering anymore, but the skills that I learned in like that role have given me a good opportunity, or like given me a good basis to move into like adjacent roles in that sense.
I was just curious. You said you moved all over Australia and even the world. So were you going with these like long-term projects or different jobs that he would do?
Yeah. So Dad would pick up jobs in different countries. So we lived in Malaysia for a little bit when I was really young, and then Fiji for about 18 months when I was about 12.
Oh, that must have been an experience.
Yeah, it was. It was a really interesting experience coming back to Australia after that trip, because I think I just distinctly remember going to like a supermarket and walking down the aisles and just being completely overwhelmed by how much choice there was,
because the sheer volume.
Yeah, because in Fiji we would shop at like local markets, and they had supermarkets, but obviously you'd have stuff that was manufactured there or imported from somewhere else, and it was just we were just overwhelmed. Decision paralysis when it came to like, oh, Mum was like, oh, what snacks would you like? And we're like, we don't know.
Well,
so many to choose from.
I get that even if we go camping. And then when you drive out and then you're going down the road and you're seeing like light stores and bed stores, but there's like 4 bed stores and you're like, that's a lot of bed stores.
Where do you even start? Yeah, it's too hard.
What is this is I'm always interested in people's day-to-day at the jobs, because it's so easy to talk about the big changes in mining and change management and we just all these things. But what does a Monday look like for you?
Mondays are typically meeting days. So
I would have
probably,
loved if you said Monday. I don't make it.
yeah, Mondays is meetings and coffee.
Yeah.
So Mondays, generally catching up or getting set up for the week. So catching up with the teams that I work with, setting our priorities for the week. And like the collaboration with different teams is a really big part of my role. So within the product development team, but then also with our like sales and commercial teams, and then our technical teams within Orica as well. So that's a big part of the job. Other things I could be doing include, like testing the software that the developers have been working on, getting that ready to release to our users and our customers. But a really big part of the job that I really enjoy is talking to our customers and our users to understand the problems that they face on a day-to-day basis. So that is like my job is essentially being a problem solver, right? We're building something to solve a problem. Spending the time talking to our customers to understand what those pain points are, what's annoying to them, like, what drives them up the wall, where they sit screaming at their computer.
Right.
I love hearing about that stuff because it's the opportunity for me to like build and deliver a product that eases that pain, makes it a positive experience, and actually delivers not necessarily value, but like a positive impact to their day-to-day workflows. Because a lot of what engineers do, so I work with a lot of drill and blast engineers with our customers, the processes are repetitive. So if you're hitting the same pain point every time,
Right.
you can imagine how frustrating that gets. So my goal is to try and reduce some of that frustration in their day-to-day.
Canem is a leader in steel fabrication and construction, delivering tailored solutions for commercial, industrial, institutional, and multi-residential projects. With 60-plus years of experience, they offer a wide range of products: steel joists, decks, structural steel, prefab building solutions, and more. Backed by expert services in BIM, engineering, and project management. Visit canem.com to learn more. Who is Savannah Equipment? Savannah Equipment Limited is a buyer and seller of new, used, and refurbished industrial equipment with a focus on mining and construction. They find, market, and sell surplus and used equipment. Does the equipment need work? They can refurbish. Is there something you can't find? They source those hard-to-find items. Selling equipment? They buy, consign, and broker equipment and asset packages. Need equipment moved? Savannah Equipment manages logistics for worldwide delivery. Surface and underground ore processing, concentrating, and refining plants and equipment, power generation and electrical, pump, material handling, alluvial placer, gold mining, recycling, and much more. If you need to buy, sell, find, refurbish, or move equipment, you need Savannah Equipment. Savannah Equipment, more equipment every day. Visit them at savannahEquipment.com. The mining industry is evolving. Efficiency and sustainability are more important than ever. Drawing on decades of expertise, Aderco's innovative fuel additive enables you to decarbonize your operations without sacrificing performance. Lower emissions, protect your engines, and save on fuel expenses, all with one simple solution. Choose Aderco, the smart choice for sustainable, profitable mining, because you can save money while making a positive impact. Visit aderco.com to learn more.
Well, actually, let's jump into that then. Is just the underground environment itself and just the landscape that they're working within. Can you sort of walk us through that? And then, of course, we'll dovetail that into finding those solutions. But just first set up the scope and the challenge of being in the underground mining systems.
Yeah. Well, in Australia, just as a little bit of a joke, in Australia, the biggest issue I had working on an underground site was the flies. Very, very annoying, particularly in summer. But
they're not poisonous flies.
No, they're not. They won't kill you, but you might accidentally eat a couple of them. No, so the environment itself is often quite challenging. So yes, you're underground. You do get to escape the sun, which is nice. But so it's dark, it's dusty, it's still hot, it's still humid, and that has implications on the kinds of tools that you can use underground. Like even using paper, if you're working in a really humid drive, it just gets all limp and soggy and becomes impossible to write on. So that's just really annoying. And I find it funny how often or how prevalent paper-based systems still are on site. I mean, it obviously works, right? We've been mining this way for such a long time.
Right.
But there are disadvantages to using a paper-based system, and I've seen them like in my role as a drill and blast engineer. however many years ago, like paperwork, you have to deliver the paper to the job site to communicate your information to your operators. So that's a time delay. Then often when you get the paperwork back, trying to read other people's handwriting. I know we don't have to do it a lot anymore, but trying to read other people's handwriting is sometimes challenging.
I literally cannot read my own writing anymore.
Yeah, same. I look back at notes I've taken during meetings and I'm like,
was I trying to say?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out just the concept sometimes.
Sometimes I can't even recognize the word.
Yeah.
So like that's a challenge. People lose pieces of paper here and there.
Yeah.
And then particularly with drill and blast, if we're talking about charging specifically, like loading the explosives into the hole, sometimes we load holes that are up holes, so they're vertical. Emulsion explosive products likes to fall out of holes because of gravity.
Right.
If you get paperwork covered in emulsion, it dissolves basically.
Right.
And then that's paperwork that an engineer has to like try and read, transfer the data somewhere else, and then try and scan it, because we have to preserve copies of all the paperwork, and then put it in a folder somewhere. So it's just
insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
think that's the word you're trying. I don't know if you wrote that in the notes, but I think that's what you're trying to get to.
Yeah. So it like, again, it obviously works to a degree because we're doing it for ages, but everyone walks around with a phone these days.
Yeah.
Hell, I've got 2 phones. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
I don't need 2 phones, but we've all got some sort of digital copy in our pockets, right?
Yeah.
So I think
not me. I use a flip phone. I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding.
I can see some nodding from Devin.
Yeah, but I have an iPad strapped to my back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's how I get away with it.
Yeah. So you have the computer part of the phone.
Yeah.
And
So I
another
technically
device.
don't have it in my pocket.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Talk about nitpicking. But this, I was wondering though. I was on a job site. We'd actually switched to a digital solution.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I was part of actually the development team, so it wasn't a very good one. But we were on site doing an inventory, and there was definitely challenges with the digital as well, because your gloves are coming off, and there's still that dirt, and there was some challenges. And then I was trying to get the senior guy to buy into it, so there's a level of frustration, and I remember being a little bit embarrassed because I didn't account for the environment. How does that? Where does is that still a challenge with the digital solution, or is the equipment you're using for the digital solutions now at a point where it just you can't even compare it to paper?
Yeah, so we've been really selective with the types of devices that we do use in the underground environment. So part of that is thinking about how, just from a hardware perspective, we deal with those environmental conditions. And as you said, like trying to use gloves on a tablet is impossible.
Infuriating, yeah.
So, we've made sure we've got devices available that have like stylus input. So, people don't have to take their gloves off. We've all got like meaty fingers. Sometimes it can be a real pain just trying to enter something. So having a stylus makes it really easy to do that. Another way that we've found the underground environment kind of interesting is just looking purely at it from a design perspective. So how are we actually visually displaying our applications?
It's incredible how important that is.
Yeah.
Because a solution can be so brilliant, and then the button is in the wrong spot, and your eyes, for whatever reason, can never find it.
Yep. Or even just like your font color versus your background color, things like that. It looks so different if you're sitting in like a wonderfully well-lit space versus going underground, or if you're, out on bench in full sun.
Yeah.
Like each of those scenarios is so different.
Well, it's interesting. I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but it's interesting because I've been a part of some of these teams that have done this sort of thing. And if you just start handing it to people and you'll watch, it's so interesting how the same mistake, everybody goes to and you're like, oh, okay, this is not the problem with them. It's the problem with the design, because that they want that button over there. They want the info button over there for whatever reason. Don't know why, but that's where they want it.
Yep. And I think that's like a perfect example of why it's important to get early feedback. And I think from a design point of view, that's one of our strategies as well, is like working with some of our early adopters to work out those kinds of details and get their feedback on, like, is the flow on how we're entering data here painful? Like, if it is, why is it? Is it the
Why?
number of clicks? Is it like the order of the boxes doesn't actually make sense
Right.
compared to what they're used to? Like, is it something
Right.
that
It's
we
really in the weeds. Eh?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think it's a fascinating mix of visual design versus human psychology, right? Like how you interact with your phone or a device. Some of that is ingrained behavior. Like you were saying, you look for an information button in a certain position.
Yeah.
It's like if you go onto any like mobile website, you
Yeah.
go and look for the menu button either in the top left corner or the top right corner.
Right.
If it's anywhere else, you're not going to find
And
it.
every now and then someone tries to get fancy with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
I become an old man just
why is it not working?
trying to find a 10-year-old kid to try to open it for me. What I was curious about this shift though as well is what do you think has driven this shift? Because there was this, even I would say 6 years, everybody loved to say, I'd probably say it more than everybody else does now because I repeat it, is first to be second. Don't hear that anymore. You do not hear, well, maybe you do. Correct me. There you
Yeah.
go. I will certainly say I hear it a lot less. There's a lot more companies that want solutions.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually actively looking for it. Maybe they won't still be first, but
Yep.
but they want it to happen in a way. There's been a shift there. What do you think are the main metrics driving that pivot to these digital solutions, to adoption of new technology?
I think there's a lot of push from, the market in general to be looking at solutions that improve safety for the people working on site. They are asking for solutions or initiatives or like real dedicated effort to have solutions to ESG problems as well. So making sure we're mining more sustainably. So I think like that pressure from the market is a significant driver. But then from like a mining company or, contracting company point of view, I think we're getting to the point where a lot of them are starting to realize that there are better ways to do things. And like you said, like over the last 5 or 6 years, I think there is less reluctance to be first because the technology has had time to prove itself in a sense, right? So, looking
and the ability to adopt the technology as well, that it's been
it's
shown
much
that it
more
can be
readily
done.
available. And like it, some solutions may not have been implemented on a site before, but something very similar has. So it's not as scary anymore. It's not as much of an unknown. But I think one other thing that is driving mining companies in particular is just the sheer amount of data that they're now collecting just across the board, right? Like everything's got a sensor. So you're collecting all of these metrics from your processing plants, from your drill rigs, from your trucks, like everything. You can tell what it's doing at any minute of the day, understanding how it's performing, and there's lots of like predictive maintenance tools that can be done using that data. But then from an actual running a mine point of view, we're starting to build up that kind of data set as well. So understanding, what has happened in the previous 24 hours, the previous month, and being able to move towards actually building a schedule or a model based off that data that they have reasonable confidence that they're actually going to achieve. I mean, it was one of my bugbears when I did scheduling is as soon as you got the schedule signed off, you might as well throw it out.
Right.
Because like everything changes so quickly.
Right.
And it's really hard to measure that variability if you don't have data. But now we're collecting that data and you can kind of understand or build a picture of, okay, we're aiming for this middle ground, but how far high or how far low can that actually vary on, a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
Yeah.
And you can plan for it and prepare for it. And still ultimately achieve whatever you've set out to do at the end.
Keep your team informed and educated and all that.
Yeah,
Sort of
absolutely.
thing, right. I wanted to jump right into also I think it's called BlastIQ, right?
BlastIQ Underground.
BlastIQ Underground.
Yep.
Can we talk about that as a system? Obviously, it integrates into everything we're talking about here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So BlastIQ Underground is our QA/QC offering for the underground drill and blast process. It's made up of 3 different components, all underpinned by our cloud platform. So there's a desktop application, which basically has the task of transferring the drill and blast design that is done in a mine design package into the system. Then we have a field device, and this is basically where the magic happens. So this field device called BlastIQ Mobile is where operators will collect their data, their information, their notes throughout the drill and blast process. So it can be used by drillers, it can be used by the prep crew, it can be used by your loading team. That data, if you've got an internet connection everywhere in site, amazing, because it gets pushed straight to the cloud, and you can have engineers or shift supervisors using the third component, which is called BlastIQ Insights, which is web-based, to monitor the progress of the tasks throughout the day and get almost that not direct, but like rapid feedback on what's actually happening at the job site.
So if you're connected, how close to real time would that be?
Within seconds.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So most mine sites won't have Wi-Fi to every job site, but the traditional way of transferring that information is physically taking that paperwork from the office to the job site. And in some sites, going to and from the office could be a 2-hour round trip. So it's a significant improvement in actually delivering that information so it can be acted upon in a timely manner. The number of drill and blast engineers who are in a panic at the end of shift, on day shift, because their prep plans have come up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they've got less than 2 hours to modify their charge design, do all of their checks, get it approved by all of the parties who are all in meetings at that time of the day, getting ready for night shift, print off all of the plans and then issue them to the shop firer. It's panic stations. So because that information gets made available to engineers so late, it puts a lot of pressure, on like your standard job that you have to do. So making it available earlier actually gives engineers the time to do their job, and actually spend a bit more time problem solving if there are exceptions that they need to be dealing with.
So the BlastIQ process though is at every stage, right from you've got right from design right to the charge.
Yep.
Right. So what do they actually just what's physically happening while they're doing their prep and going through their stages? Are they then manually inputting this information, or how is it set up to actually deliver?
Yeah, I'll take you through
on the underground. Yeah.
Yep. So the design aspect is where the engineers will lay out their holes to safely and economically mine out a packet of material called a stope. That will typically happen in another mine design piece of software. Once that's all gone through its approvals, that's when it will come into BlastIQ Underground desktop, and we push it to the cloud environment. So at this point, the next step is actually drilling those holes, and it's one of the most critical steps in the process, because it's really hard to hit Control Z on a hole that's been drilled. Can't undo it. So that setup and collecting that information at the time of drilling has direct impact on the following processes. So it's really important that we capture the information at that point in time. So that can be done on the BlastIQ mobile tablet. We have the ability to capture like multiple comments against a hole. So if conditions are changing along a hole, we can build that story, and then it's maintained through the other stages of the process. So the next one is prepping. I think this is like one of the underutilized parts of a standard drill and blast process, is going back and basically double checking what was drilled and seeing if anything's changed. It's quite common in underground mining for holes to be subjected to stresses and ground pressure. So they might, the diameter might change, or they might actually shear off and get blocked at some point. If you don't know that before you go and load, you're just making the job harder for the next person in the process. So prepping is about checking the whole state and getting it ready to charge. So then in terms of BlastIQ Underground, that's where the prep crew will be recording what was the length of the hole, what has changed, did we pick up any interactions between the other holes?
Like that length of the hole, where are they getting that data from? From the drill itself?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we have the full history of the hole on the tablet.
Is BlastIQ connected to the drill, or they manually?
They manually enter it at this point in time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm
guessing that's part of the sort of the future, right?
Yeah. And
it all starts to get integrated in, right?
Yeah. And it's something we see a lot more on surface sites, not so much on underground sites, but we there's always the option of, if you do have a database that contains all of your drill data, instead of getting your drill operators to record those lengths, we can talk about doing like API connections and
Right.
that kind of thing as well. So it's, in the background, it's not actually anyone's like job to do it. It's just pre-populates and, off you go, which, makes things a lot easier for everyone. But yeah, so yeah, prepping, confirming what we've done with the drill, checking the whole state, making sure it's ready to charge. All of those notes, comments, measurements are recorded on the tablet. Again, if you're connected to the internet or close to an internet connection point, you can feed that data back to the engineers, because it's really important they have that information so they can make the right design choices or review their loading design, which they would do back in the desktop app to make sure that they're issuing instructions for a job that actually makes sense.
Right.
I've spoken to many operators, and they're like, engineers are just trying to make our lives more difficult. I'm like, yeah, well, sure, maybe some of them are.
Oh, there's one or two out there. I guarantee there's one.
Yeah. But we're just trying to do the best with the information we've got at the time, right? So yeah, prep information will go back to the engineer, and then it's time to charge. So the loading design can get loaded onto the tablet, onto BlastIQ Mobile. The charge crew can view it, so they'll be able to see all of the information that they require to load the hole to design. And then they can record the actuals that have been loaded, and yeah, capture any comments. So, if a hole slumps or they had to top up a hole, they can make note of that. So when we're doing a recon at the end of the day to say, oh, we had 1.2 tons of explosives in this blast, but we loaded 1.3, we can understand where those discrepancies come from. So all of that information then feeds back into insights, where we can look at those progress dashboards, attach metadata talking about like KPIs, or if it's a particular style of design that you were doing. So you can start feeding that into your dashboards and actually start learning from all the data you're collecting.
What's a measurable ROI? If people are saying, okay, so you have this conversation, they say, okay, what should we expect? Is there some metrics you can say, these are some numbers that you can actually look for?
The biggest one is reduced delays waiting on plans. So like I said, it's not uncommon for engineers to be working on a plan, and operators have to wait for that plan to be approved before they can go to the job. So that's like a really common one. If you're eliminating that delay, that means people can get to their jobs like at the time they're supposed to. They're not rushed. They can continue doing their job safely, do all their workplace inspections. And I guess like the other part of that is allowing engineers, or getting that access to the data for engineers to do their job in a timely manner. I think it's just being able to measure that more rapid communication between the two teams, and removing people from just driving in the mine to deliver plans to a job site, because that's also a big safety risk as well.
Yeah. Have you, are there any examples you can give? I mean, I know a lot of stuff in mining, it's hard to be like specific, but are there any specific operations where you go, this is an example of where there was just unmistakable value?
Yeah, absolutely. So we deployed BlastIQ Underground at a mine in Western Australia called Golden Grove. It's a copper zinc mine owned by 29 Metals and operated by Burncut Australia. So Burncut are the team responsible for executing the blast designs that are completed by the 29 Metals team. So the situation that they had at Golden Grove was that they were spending a lot of time just transporting those plans to and from the job site, because they were reliant on a paper QA/QC plan. So the big draw card for them was being able to reduce that travel time, but they were also having issues just with, I guess, like the quality of data that they were collecting with paper, like losing paperwork, then you have an incomplete data set, like that kind of thing. So you're going to all of this effort, and then you're not even getting, the full or complete story of what's happening at those job sites. So we deployed BlastIQ Underground there over a period of 3 months, like an initial trial period. And over that time, BlastIQ Underground was used to support 30 blasts, and over 800 hole measurements were recorded. But the big clincher is they reduced their travel time by 1.5 hours per blast, which was a 75% improvement on what they were doing previously.
Wow.
Yeah, so real tangible benefit where you're actually giving people back time to do their job instead of, driving on a decline and getting in the way.
Yeah, it's amazing how some of the stuff is just such a simple, like,
Mhm.
yeah, there's not someone driving back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, that's what it's coming down to.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's fantastic when you can deliver wins like that because it's something that people are doing every day.
Yeah.
So it feels really impactful to the
Everybody
customer.
can see it. It's easy to understand. It's like, I don't know if you remember, you forget these things sometimes. You remember when you had to take you do a Word document,
Mhm.
you would download it as a PDF,
Mhm.
you would then send it off to someone.
Mhm.
They would sometimes then print it because there wasn't an app to like mark up a PDF. So print it. They would scratch note,
Mhm.
load it back in,
Mhm.
send it back to you.
Mhm.
You would then get it, go back to the Word document, do the change. Just horrible.
Yep.
And I still remember this day when we started this business. We signed up, we had Google, and we were sitting on a Google Doc in a restaurant
And everyone's
and doing the work, and it was just unbelievable. Just
Yep.
hours. And that, like, an hour and a half per blast. Now, I don't know what does that translate per day, but huge savings.
Yeah.
Huge savings.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're especially in the mining environment where you've got personnel issues,
Mhm.
and then you're paying someone to drive back and forth.
Yeah, it sounds insane when you say it like
when that
that,
person
right?
could
Like
be delivering fuel or
doing
whatever.
something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not putting anybody out of a job for sure. You're
Yep.
putting someone onto the job they actually
Yep.
need done, right?
Yep.
Before I let you go, I want to just ask you about where does it go? It's like there's still this manual of you're in the drill and then you input it.
Mhm.
Is that sort of where we're going? It's just this integration, even with other platforms and just communication and all this sort of stuff, and just syncing everything up. Is that sort of the next stage, or is there a few other stages before that?
Yeah, I think interoperability between all of these different applications is key, not only for us, but I think for all other like digital technologies. Mining, I think, is a really interesting industry because we have so many suppliers and so many different experts who are involved at any stage of the process, and we kind of all have our own slice of the pie. And it's really easy to be like, no, we just want to own, that part of the turf and not have like a little bit of a, fuzzy area around the edges where there is that integration and in some cases collaboration as well, because mining is absolutely classic for just working in silos, right? Like I've had engagements with customers, you go visit a site, have a conversation with one team about something, you come back and then like 6 weeks later, you get a call from a different team on the same site being like, hey, we're interested in this. And it's like, yeah, we just spoke to your other team 6 weeks ago.
Well, and even on a big scale, I mean, these stories of like two mines in the same area with two different roads,
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's in order for mining companies or mining operators to really open up the opportunity to make significant changes on site that stick, because technology is sometimes really hard to implement and get it to stay, is being open to working with other vendors.
The energy sector does it more, right? That's more the culture there. Whereas like if one big energy company's doing it, the other company's doing it, and then it's all within their systems, and there's organizations dedicated to syncing up all the technology that they have that infrastructure, right? And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also a bit of like a culture or a mindset thing. Sure. I think there might be a little bit of reluctance, like, oh, it's going to slow things down and, all of that. And I'm like, well, maybe a little bit. It takes time to establish those connections and understand what that collaboration should look like. But the end result that you get is a product or a collection of products or a system that is actually solving the problem that you want to the fullest degree rather than just part of it.
Yeah, and I would even zoom out even further, is that if the industry is sort of synced up and the standard is higher and higher, that makes it easier for Indigenous groups to get on board, the local communities, governments to put their elected officials got to put their name beside something. They want it as safe as possible. All these factors, the better the industry is at setting the standard, the better support they'll get.
Absolutely. And it gives us the opportunity to learn from each other. like I haven't come across a mine site that has, or not many, that have a problem that is completely unique to them.
Right, exactly.
There's lots of overlap, and sure, it might be like a slightly different spin on the problem,
Right.
but like the core of it is essentially the same.
Yeah.
So it feels like a fantastic opportunity to learn from others instead of trying to do all of the learning yourself. And, it just takes time to do all of that, whereas you can really accelerate things
so much, and the industry as a whole. It is actually an amazing time to be part of mining. It really
it's really exciting.
There's so much, like we do these episodes, and we just keep piling in more information. Sophie, thank you so much for doing it. I feel like this went good enough. We can probably edge out a few of other of the episodes. So we'll see, though. The audience event ultimately decides. But thank you. I hope we do it again.
Jerrod.
Thank you. Please, as long as Sophie's okay with it, I see your LinkedIn here. So if people connect with you, we'll have Sophie's LinkedIn link right in the description below. Of course, you'll have seen the Orica website popping out. You can go Orica Digital Solutions. You can go visit them. And please subscribe to Mining Now if you haven't already. Put in your email, follow us, whatever you need to do to get our information. We love doing these shows. We love your support, and we will see you on the next episode of Mining Now.